Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Fountain Youth with Andy. Each week, I'll be sharing a health tip that could up level and boost your health and wellness, and of course, to improve your longevity. After all, it's called Fountain of Youth. And Amanda's such a dear friend of mine. I've been popping on her Transformation Tuesdays. So I say, hey, why don't you pop onto my show and share some of your wisdom? So today we have Amanda Beth from Amanda Beth Healing. She's going to be sharing her tips and tricks on the health topic we're talking about today. And the topic we're going to be talking about today is specifically about the lymphatic system. You want to jump on in a little bit about that, Amanda? Let's hear what you think the lymphatic system is, and let's just you know get our information out
Just
there. To
banter it out there. Okay. So the lymph system, I think, is one of the most under acknowledged systems.
Mhm.
It is the sewer system of your body. Everyone thinks that the intestines and the bowels, that's what it is, but some system has to get it from all of your tissues and into that to the final waste removal system that we have. So the lymph is, whenever you go to the doctor and they check your neck and they feel those lymph
Yes.
nodes there, those are the lymph nodes that we know about. But there are lymph nodes everywhere in your body, and it's just barely underneath the skin. And having been under the guise of an osteopath, my mom is an osteopath, and
Sure.
so looking at a more holistic thing. And I remember one of the very first things that she learned when she went to college was the lymphatic pump.
Hmm.
And I've taught that several times and used it with my own kids and family members, and that is where you're just laying flat and someone pumps your feet, and that just causes your whole body to shake. And that's what those high dollar shakers are, and everything is those vibrations
Yes.
that help to stimulate all those little pockets. Just like when you're sick, they fill
Hmm.
up in your neck, and that helps them to drain. And we've got a lot of them in our underarms, they're in our legs, they're everywhere. And a lot of times this is overlooked because we're not educated about it. I mean, other than your lymph nodes in your neck, who else knew, or where else did you know that there was any of this stuff and that you can drain it yourself? And when you do that, and I personally just finished a round of some lymph treatment,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of things that interfere with your body's ability to do this. And so
Hmm.
whenever you're swelling, you've got lots of edema, it usually has to do with lymph, and there's a lot of things. And I know having any surgical procedure on your body jeopardizes your lymph because there's those nodes are everywhere. And so I just finished doing treatment, a whole treatment regime with the lymphedema clinic. Not that it was bad, but I now have those tools, and it was a nice reminder of taking care of your body, the fluid balance that we
Yes.
need with our water and our electrolytes, and then how that gets that lymph going. So, when your feet are swollen and you raise your legs, you're letting gravity do its job. And then
Yes.
for the lymph massages, it's just, they call it petting the kitty. So it's a very light stroking. That's what they
Correct.
call it. It's pet the kitty. It's a light stroking because the lymph is just barely under your skin. And so getting that to flow. So yeah, hopefully I didn't steal your thunder there, Andy.
No, no, no. I love it because I love talking to other holistic healers because we all have different ways to help people with their health. And the lymphatic system, or like you said, the lymph system, is basically, it's almost like your body's natural drainage system to get rid of toxins, is to move your immune system, immune cells around your body, right? And it's to get rid of waste, right? But what you said was really powerful. I don't know if our audience got that. Like, unlike a heart, like unlike our cardiovascular system, where we actually have a heart as a pump to pump blood around our body, the lymph has no pump.
No.
Right? So
Well, I mean, and because it doesn't have a pump, that's why going and walking every day, your
yes.
muscles are the pump around that. But if you find, when you sit at your desk all day, Your
Hmm.
feet are swollen. You did those muscles weren't moving and continuing to move that fluid out. So yes, when you don't have a pump, you got to do something else.
Exactly, exactly. And I love the the tips that you shared so far. But let's share with the audience, because a lot of people might not even know that their lymph is stagnant. Because if your lymph isn't moving, you start having these symptoms. And you talked a little bit about it. You talk about the bloating. You get swelling in the feet, right? A lot of us, we get swelling in the lymph nodes, right? Like you said, when you go to the doctor, they're always feeling under your chin. I was like, what they feeling for? Well, they're looking for your swelling lymph nodes, right? And of course, you get some people that is so toxed up. It looks like they got beaten up because their face and eyes are so swollen, right?
It is. Yeah.
So there are a lot of symptoms when your body's backed up. You start breaking out with acne. You get sick easier, and a lot of people, when they say, "Oh man, I'm not getting enough recovery," or "I'm so tired from workout," maybe I worked out too hard. Well, maybe your lymph system is stagnant and you're not getting rid of these toxins, right? So, I think that is so important to make sure you're moving your lymph in your body. And share with us your favorite ones, because you just came back to learn some tips, and then I'll share you some of my favorite ways to move my lymph system.
I think the easiest thing to do is the walking and moving, and we're not talking 5 mile runs. We're
Hmm.
talking just basic body moving and stretching. And so there were a series of very simplistic exercises, pumping your feet up and
Hmm.
down, doing that, the foot slides. So you just, sliding your foot, right, leg lifts, and not really high, extreme anything. But we have gotten so comfortable in a sedentary lifestyle for a lot of us. I'll speak for me. Um, having desk jobs, not being out and not moving and not being as active as we used to be.
Hmm.
So really making that point of doing those things and encouraging those fluids to drain, and know that your central drainage pump, if you will,
Hmm.
or the central drain for the lymph is actually in the abdomen. So even
Hmm.
just lightly massaging the abdomen
Yes.
to help that flow. If anyone has ever gone to a massage therapist and had a lymph massage, the next day you're going to feel pretty drained and pretty ick.
Yeah.
I know when mine's gotten really backed up, that's what it is. And in the cold and flu season, if you do that lymphatic pump, like the
Hmm.
osteopath, and it's all over YouTube, you can find it. Doing that, 10 minutes once or twice a day will shorten the curve if you have gotten ill, because it
Yes.
does. Otherwise, that sludge sits in your lymph and your body has no way to get rid of it, until, when you feel ill, you're not active. And so
Yes.
the manual pumping of the muscles and stuff doesn't happen. So yeah, that's the big thing there. And I think just what you put in your body,
Hmm.
knowing that everything you put in your body, your
Yes.
water source, your food source, your everything, it goes in and it does not stay in that digestive tube. It
Hmm.
gets into your bloodstream. And so then
Yes.
you put all of that throughout your bloodstream, and it's got to circulate out. And that lymph is it's just that the magic eraser
Yes. I love
of
that term. Beautiful.
it soaks it up, and then nothing's there to wring it out. So you got to really work to do that. So just creating that awareness that you need to do that. And then anytime you've had injury to your body,
Hmm.
that risk that puts a block in that lymph flow.
Hmm.
So for me, it was a hip replacement, and when they cut into my tissues, my lymph no longer drains as easily from that
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah.
So it's something that I will now need to tend to the rest of my life, but staying on top of it and not allowing it to get out of control. And that's you see it with folks who aren't as mobile.
Hmm.
They that swelling sits there, and it's painful. It's painful when it happens.
Exactly. Exactly. No, that is so true. And it's sort of what you said. A lot of people aren't moving their lymph, right? And especially after surgery, depending which parts of the surgery they are, it can disrupt your lymph flow, right? But it's funny because we have different ways of stimulating our lymph, which is cool, and that's why I think it's so important to connect with so many different health coaches, holistic coaches, right, to get lymph going. If you notice, we never mention any drugs or any type of medication. So far, everything Amanda says is natural and stuff that you can do, right? Being a biohacker, of course, I usually go a little deeper than what Amanda's talking about. Walking, of course, I do my walking, but I like doing rebounding. Have you ever done rebounding, Amanda?
I want to do rebounding, and I keep looking at getting the trampoline, and then I look around, I'm like, yeah, where am I going to put that? But I think that, and I've talked with several people.
Yeah.
I did work in a medical office for several
Yes.
years, and having the opportunity to talk to people, and just when you stimulate that lymph, you're stimulating the drainage. You're also creating weight loss, which who does
Yes.
not want that? I mean, there are a few people that don't want weight loss, but for most of us, a lot of the weight, the extra weight that we carry, is from byproducts our body can't get rid of. So yeah, the
Exactly.
rebounder is
Right. And for people that didn't catch what you said, rebounder is just a small little mini trampoline. And, for a lot of people, they say, oh, it's so hard to get that 15, 20-minute work of cardio workout or strength training. I tell you, it's no joke. You start jumping on that little trampoline for like 2 minutes and it'll wipe you out. I swear, a 2-minute mini trampoline rebounding session feels like a 15-minute session. But I love doing that first thing in the morning. You talk about detox, and one of the things that I love about rebounding, and this falls down to functional nutrition, is it really gets everything flowing, if you know what I mean, right?
mhm.
So yes, for people that have maybe constipated or whatever, oh my God, you do a 1 or 2 minute rebounding session. I don't know if it's the gravity, the motion, whatever it is, not only are you moving your lymph, but you're actually stimulating your digestive system to, literally get the crap out of your body, right? So rebounding is one of my favorites. The other thing that me and Minna do is we got compression pants. Have you ever
Mhm.
tried compression pants?
Not the pants, but since doing this lymphedema clinic, I've been doing the compression socks.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah.
But and as they sent the first socks with me, or the tubes, until I could order my own socks. And in the summer, I recommend the open toe ones. Now come
Yeah.
winter time, and when I first started wearing them, I thought, oh, this is horrible. But I've worn them long enough that if I don't put them on, like when I'm going to be working outside, and it's 100 degrees out, I don't put them on because it's just going to be too much. I do feel that missing. But yeah, that whole compression, your yoga pants, and it was recommended that I do the whole compression bodysuit, and I'm like,
Yep.
I'm not quite ready for that. Not there
It,
yet.
it's funny that you talk about, because we got the compression pants, and I share that once in a while for my biohack stacking. But we actually have the compression tube also that you slide over your body. So it literally makes you look like a water barrel. And I tell you, it is not the most pleasant feeling, because it literally feels like 10 hands trying to squeeze the
Oh,
crap. But it is interesting because you feel it. Oh my gosh, it's like 10 people massaging you at the same time, which I imagine probably feels similar to a lymphatic massage. I've never done one yet, but I heard it's not very pleasant.
the lymphatic massages I've had done by massage therapists
Mhm.
and also by occupational therapy, I didn't feel they were
Oh,
unpleasant.
okay. Maybe you weren't too
Um,
backed up, because I heard if you're really backed up, it can be
oh, I think
not
that it can be. Now,
painful, but
I've been sick the
yeah.
next day. I mean,
Mhm.
like, uh, somewhat feverish, really sluggish, just felt ick the next day. And I think that was just and they're like, oh, do you want to cancel your? No, obviously we're getting stuff moving.
Yeah, we
Let's
need
keep it
it.
moving. So yeah, doing that. And I use the amethyst biomat as well. That's also going to be stimulating
Yes.
circulation. And so we have that at the float pod is the amethyst biomat. So it's warm, which
Yep.
increases circulation, the negative ions, the
Yep.
amethyst, the copper, all of that stuff. And those, whenever people first start using the amethyst biomat, it's like, when you go to get up off of this, you need to sit for a minute because a lot of
Yeah.
times people are dizzy, just
Yeah.
increase with circulation. And they say an
Oh,
hour on the biomat's worth 30 minutes of workout. So
it is so true. I have something similar. We got that whole amethyst, the ion, and it also has PEMF in it too. Like once
yeah,
again,
yeah.
we like trying to stack everything down and compress the time down. And I was actually doing a meditation before this, and it's like you said, it's like as soon as I got up, because I got my infrared light going on and everything, I was dehydrated. I got a slight headache. I was, oh my gosh, I had to like really hydrate. As soon as I drank my water and a little bit of electrolytes, I was like, wow, I feel great now. I'm ready for the show. It's like, but it was so crazy because you can literally feel the energy surging through your body. And it's like I said, it's like the body's got this crazy innate ability to heal itself, but we just have to find the natural ways. And everything's about frequencies, right? Everything's about frequencies. And
Hmm.
we are beings of light, we're beings of sound frequency, we're beings of frequency in general. And even yesterday on your show, we even talked about how EMF affects our body, right? So
Hmm.
definitely, I think that's so important.
Well, and I think that it takes a conscious pause to know that something doesn't feel right.
Hmm.
Pain is your body speaking up and saying, "Whoa, hello, hello, we need a little attention here." So when we ignore pain, by just popping an aspirin or an ibuprofen or something to mask the pain, then we're ignoring what our body is telling us. And so it takes a conscious effort to look at what is your body trying to tell you,
Hmm.
what have you been doing. Sometimes it's like, what did I do to create this? I know I went in about my shoulder and my
Hmm.
arm, and it's like, well, what were you doing? It's like, well, I've been battling this since November. Oh, November, I was going on a trip and I was doing a lot of deep housework because I
Yes.
had house sitters coming. So I was making sure, and I did a lot of things that I didn't normally do.
Correct.
So looking at not masking everything you do. It
Yes.
doesn't mean you should have to live in lots of pain,
Correct.
but what is your body saying with that pain, and how can you use that information and rethink how you're doing things, how you can biohack things, and how you give your body the opportunity to heal.
Hmm.
And I know you and I both come from the standpoint of, not supporting medications and drugs. There's so many things that if you just turn off your brain
Yes.
and turn off the TV, that you can listen to what your body's asking for. Like you said, you had a headache. You
Yes.
reached for water and electrolytes. You didn't reach for an aspirin.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And those are things that people forget about. They're like, "Oh, well, I'm tired, so I'm just going to go, get a Red Bull or
Yep.
whatever." And they're not looking at the cycle of what they're just perpetuating that cycle. You're low on energy, so you do caffeine and sugar and you spike.
Yes.
Okay, that's great, but then you crash lower than you were when you thought you needed a nap in the first place. I remember when I quit drinking coffee all day long, I didn't need a nap.
Correct.
When I just do my 1 cup in the morning. Sometimes I'll let myself have another cup throughout the day. But I know if I have that second cup of coffee anytime during the day, I struggle to get my water in.
Hmm.
And every time you drink something like that, your tea, your coffee, your soda, any of those things, you need that much volume in addition to flush it back out.
Exactly. Exactly. No.
Nobody wants to acknowledge that. It's like, oh yeah, I had water. Really? Yeah, those cute little 8 ouncers. Don't get me started.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. No, but it is so true. It's like, you're talking about the pain. For me, I like calling that the red lights. It's like you go traffic light. If it's a red light, it usually means danger, stop, something's going on. And most people, they're reaching into medicine cabinet, Tylenol, Aleve, Motrin. I don't even know what they're called anymore, like all the brands, because for the last 10 years, we don't have any of that in our medication cabinet. Right. But it is so true. It's almost like instant reflex. They're not even thinking about what may be causing it. They just want it gone without figuring out what's causing it in the first place. Right. And I think that is causing a lot more problems than it's solving. Right. So, for what you're saying, it is important to start listening to our body, to start retracing, what did I just do to have this headache, or why is my ankle hurting today, right?
Yeah.
um and the funny thing is, all of us are slightly different, and this is something that I learned over the last 13 years for what I do. um Depending on which areas that you have actually injured in the past, regardless is from a motor vehicle accident, maybe it's from doing something stupid, cooking, or like I dislocated one of my knees many years ago, and it wasn't from a automobile accident. I did dislocate it once, but I never dislocated again after that. But when I did it again, I done once doing a karate kick while I was drunk, which you should never do. Do not do martial arts when you're drunk. But the second one was even more stupid. I'm going in to get cookies, right? With the door down with the oven. I turned around, my leg got caught on the door, and my body fell forward while my leg was still, facing forward. So it's like these things, happen, shit happens. But what people don't realize is like these areas, these joints, these places that you injured, is whenever you have inflammation, those are the areas that are going to hurt first, right? So for me, it's like whenever I eat something wrong, like my ankle or knee will start hurting because those are the injuries in my back and neck and stuff like that. But those are my red alerts, right? It's like I don't
Mhm.
need to be exercising, and next day, holy shit, my ankle hurts. Oh, it made sense. I had pizza yesterday. you know?
Exactly. And I love the memes. You talk about pizza, so
Yes.
oh well, that was the gluten, Andy. You know better
Oh,
to do gluten.
hell
But I
no.
think that what it the meme about all the different breads that you can eat
Yes.
breads in other countries and you don't
Oh
have
yeah.
a problem with it, but you eat
Exactly.
American bread
Yep.
because of what we've done. People here, we expect to go to the grocery store, once a week, once a month, and to
Mm-hmm.
have that shelf stable food. That's not how food is supposed to be. It needs to be fresh. I mean, I once bought bread when the kids were little. I got some bread at the day old bread store,
Correct.
and I bought bread, and it sat on top of the freezer on the
Mm-hmm.
back porch. Okay, the back porch that's colder
Correct.
than cold in the winter and hotter than hot in the summer.
Correct.
That poor loaf of bread got left out there months,
Wow.
and it did not mold. It's like, okay, we are not feeding this to the children. This is not okay. But I think that that's one of those things. The reason there's an outdate on a lot of those products, I
Yes.
think, is so that you throw it away, so you don't realize that it doesn't mold, it doesn't go bad. But just looking at what it is it necessarily the gluten? No, it's not necessarily the gluten. It's all the other things that have been stripped out of our grains, the bleaching and all of that that goes into it, that makes it so that our body can't process it. And when your body can't process it, it doesn't know what to do, so it shoves it in the corner and makes it into fat. It just
Exactly.
hangs on to it. It's like, I don't know what to do with this. I might need it next week. It's kind of like when you turn 40 and your eyeball, and that's a nice box. Well, your body's doing that with things it doesn't know what to do with. I might need this next week. She gave it to me. It might be important. I'll tuck it away. You know.
Oh my God, that is so true, right? That's so true for so many people. And it's funny you talk about your loaf of bread. I don't want to call out the bakery, but like there's this Chinese Taiwanese bakery that's very famous, right? And the pastries are so delicious. nice and soft and fluffy. But, there's one time we're doing a road trip, like from, while I was still in California, and we drove from San Francisco to LA, and we always try to pack some snacks while you're driving, right? Because we don't want to
You
stop,
have to. You have to.
right?
If you leave the city limits, you have to have the snack bag.
Exactly. And of course, we
Yes.
went to this bakery, with me, and I loaded up with our friends, but we didn't eat it all, and we forgot it in the car. And a week later, oh shit, we thought it would be all moldy. We bring it out. It's perfect in the packaging, no mold, and still nice and fluffy. It wasn't even hard. Right? And I was like, from that point on, I was like, there's no way we're eating any of this. It's like in your head, you think fluffy and everything is healthy and fresh. Man, this thing was still fluffy and fresh while I was inside the heat, like 90 degrees over a week, and no mold, nothing. It literally it just came out of the store. And it makes me wonder, as like me and Minna saying, well, if this is what it looks like a week later, how do I know what's at the store is actually freshly baked?
This is a good point. This is a good point. Yes. Yes.
Right. So like it's like you said, to your point, a lot of it is not food. And for all the people out there that eating a lot of this food that's not food, we are guilty. We've done that before, right? These
Oh,
this
yeah.
these are lessons learned. I think that's why it's so important to move the lymph, right? Because the lymph is keeping a lot of these toxins, a lot of this crap in our bloodstream that is just not moving around. And, that's why we really think lymph is so important to get things moving, because I know me and you is like, we're so passionate about what we do. I just don't want to swerve too far away from what we're teaching today.
Yes, the lymph. Get the lymph out.
Right. So, when it comes to lymph, we've already told you about the things that we do that you can do at home, like you said, like the walking, the massages, the compression pants, the compression socks, infrared therapy, the amethyst energy beds. Of course, both me and Amanda, we really are big supporters of LifeWave products. We believe in photobiomodulation, phototherapy, just like how the sun, when we go outside, the sun allows our body to create vitamin D. Like, our bodies are so amazing. Like, we can make our own hormones, we can make our own peptides by just being stimulated by light, right? So, I was introduced to LifeWave about 2.5 years ago, and we introduced Amanda, and both of us, we use that as part of our protocol for what we do with holistic healing. And I just wanted to share a couple of things how we can use LifeWave products to help when it comes to a stagnant lymphatic system, right? So this is just some things that I've learned from an acupuncturist, right? Once again, both me and Amanda, we're not doctors. This is just my opinion and what we're sharing that will seem to help with your lymphatic system. All right. So one of the first things that I would suggest is, LifeWave has a few patches available. And the first one is stimulating your kidney points, like the K27s. I actually have it right here. These are two right here. It's about 3 fingers away from your center point. And using the energy patches, this will actually get your lymphatic system moving. So for those of us that don't want to walk, we don't have compression pants, we don't got an energy bed like Amanda and me have, this is a great way to get the lymph moving, right? And for those that are having, and that's the energy patches, right? Like the original OG from LifeWave. If you guys want to learn more about these patches, make sure you reach out to both me, Amanda, and Amanda and Andy. That's me. And the next ones, if you are feeling like you got headache, like we talked a little bit about headaches, right? This one's another good point. It's right on your temple, right? But you want to be using the right side. So it's the GB6, it's the gallbladder 6, right? And that one will actually be using the Eon, right? So using the Eon, this will help with the headaches. Sometimes when you start getting headaches, like we talked a little about it, lymphatic system gets backed up, you get headaches. This will really help. And the last one, Amanda was talking about swelling feet. So many of us have swollen feet, right? And right here, this is the SP6. And same thing, you'll be using the Eon, right? It's about 4 fingers up from your from your ankle bone, but you want it on the right foot once again. So it's SP6, 4 fingers up, right, with the Eon, and this will help with lowering swelling in your feet. So it's really amazing. It's just there's so many things that you can do to, you know, use your body to create this energy field to, start helping out to boost your immune system, to boost your innate ability to heal, right?
I did one other position, and that's the energy patches, and that's
Mhm.
on the low back by the dimples.
Oh yes, okay, beautiful.
That one I used that one as well for my foot and
Yeah,
legs when they were swelling.
I love it. I love it. And then Sherry McCann says hello. She's the one that got me into LifeWave, and I got to tell you, she's changed my life. I was like, I've been doing all these biohacks, everything to boost stem cells over the last 12 years. And Sherry introduced me to LifeWave, and the LifeWave products not have only helped my health, but has helped so many people with that. We have another person. This is sort of cool. Gloria Perez. She mentioned she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, brain fog, and all these things, right? So, like I said, see, these are people that are looking at ways to help with your lymphatic system, to help reverse chronic conditions. And we don't need medication. There are so many ways that we can stimulate our body to heal itself, right? So Amanda, why don't you give a brief description what you do? It's like I know it's as intuitive healer, one is coach. I love for everyone to understand how you're different because like when the time comes when people want to reach out to us, I want them to resonate to what's going to work for them.
Well, I am located here in Southeast Iowa. I do have the Iowa Salt Pod, which is the flotation pod. So I have a float center here in Southeast Iowa. So if you're within a 2-hour radius, I definitely recommend you check out floating. I also have the amethyst biomat there. I do homeopathic consultations, so I
Mhm.
do some homeopathic stuff as well as the life wave. And my title on the screen as an intuitive healer and wellness coach, I do theta healing, and so I work with folks to recognize your energetic patterns as you have them, release those blocks, and let you live that prosperous life that you want to live so that you have that joy and that freedom. So we talk about a lot of healing. So that's what I do. And
Right.
the intuitive healing services, those are all they're available virtually because it's energy work. And so you don't have to travel to Southeast Iowa for those.
I love it. We're talking about how we're energy beings, and it is amazing how Amanda can help you remotely. You don't actually need to be there like a massage therapist. You need to be physically there. Amanda can help you remotely, and I can attest to that. I had some blockages 3 weeks ago, and I was just telling man, I don't understand this vision, and she's definitely helped. And it's like we're all energy beings, but even me, I look at so many things, and I'm very scientific based, and Amanda's opened my eyes a little bit, to listen to your intuition, to listen to your guys. There's definitely a lot more out there than that we can understand, right, Amanda? And I think that's a big part of where we need to connect at deeper levels to heal ourselves, right? But more important, like you said, to try to find the natural ways to heal ourselves, right? So you can reach Amanda at amandabethhealing.com,
Mhm.
right? So you can reach her there, and for me, like I said, I'm a functional nutrition longevity coach. I am just passionate about helping people not only live longer, but to keep their youth as they're getting older, right? It's like a lot of people says, well, I don't want to be pushed around in a wheelchair when I hit 80. I was like, 80, I'm still gonna be running like half marathon. No, maybe not. I hate running, maybe not half marathons, but I'm definitely gonna be bouncing around when I'm 80. I honestly believe we can easily live to 125. Me and Minna's target is 150. But our main thing is not only are you living a long time, but to maintain your vitality, which is important, right? Like me and Minna, we have cat babies, but a lot of our friends or our viewers or clients, they have grandchildren, great grandchildren. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to play with your great grandchildren without just watching them, right? And that's really what, me and Minna, we believe what longevity is, right? And, everything that we do is like, I've been chasing the fountain of youth. That's why we call this fountain of youth with Andy, to not only slow down your aging, but of course, reverse aging. And just wanted to cap off, both me and Amanda very believe in the X39. This is the one that will boost your GHK copper peptide. Like I said, sunlight, it boosts vitamin D. Well, when your body is stimulated with certain frequencies of light with life wave, it boosts GHK copper peptide, which has a really cool function. When that gets elevated, it reactivates stem cells, resets your genes to a younger state. So not only are we saying not anti-aging, but maybe even reverse aging. Once again, we can't make any claims, but we're seeing the results in blood labs, in appearance and in just the way we feel. We just got so much more energy. So definitely, when it comes down to LifeWave products, reach out both to me, Amanda, or me, Andy, and we'll love to talk, share more about this amazing technology. Maybe it's something that can help give you a little bit more energy and maybe take away some of those wrinkles around our eyes. Everyone's keeps saying, "Don't smile," because you don't want the smile wrinkles around your eyes, right? So
Yeah, living a long life, but having that quality of life.
yes,
I don't want to live and not be able to do for myself and to do for my kiddos and others. I don't want people to have to take care of me. So yes, having that
exactly.
independence and that quality of life. Because if there's not a quality of life, I don't want to live a long time.
I
Help yourself
agree.
in
I
that way.
agree.
But
So
that also means that I have a responsibility to myself
yes.
to take care of that and to decide. And I'm sure we could talk for days, months, weeks, years about the failures that we have experienced in traditional Western medicine.
Yes.
And I think that when you read the headlines, that in and of itself needs to be your wake up call.
Hmm.
You need to be doing for you. Your insurance company is not really concerned about your individual health.
Correct.
I managed a medical practice for 5 years, fighting with the insurance companies and everything. And I just think people really need to understand what their life goal is, what kind of life they want to live, how they want to live their life, and make decisions based on how you want to live your life, not what your insurance is going to pay for, because your insurance at the end of the day doesn't care about you as an individual.
I love that, ending on the note that, we are all responsible for our health, right? So many people put that onus on their doctors, on their insurance agency, right? It is so important, and like you said, we need to take that first step,
Yeah.
right? Stop reaching for that Tylenol or Advil. Take that first step. Reach out to Amanda. Reach out to me. We would love to help you any which way we can. We can do private coaching. We got group coaching, and I'm sure Amanda's got coaching programs too.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
you
yeah.
know, you can reach out with
And
me
if
at.
not, if
Yep.
not, you let Andy or I know what it is that you're looking for. And if it's not a service that either one of us provide, we have an amazing network of lots of other
Yes.
people, and we're going to find somebody that's going to meet your need. But first, you got to speak up, because although yes, mind reading is one of the things I do, it's really hard to pick it all out. Just bring bring what it is you want. What are you looking to change? Are you looking to change in the area of fitness, and
Mhm.
what are you willing to do? You know,
Exactly.
I know for me, signing up at the gym is not the place for me to go. That is not a good expense of my time, because I'm not going to follow through with it.
Correct.
But what can I do that is going to meet my needs from
Mhm.
the health that I want to have, that I'm willing to follow through with?
I
And
love
who
that.
is the person for me for that program? So yeah,
Exactly.
just ask us. We'll figure it out.
Well, anyways, you can reach out to me at chronicallyhealthylife.com. And I don't know what happened there. We just lost Amanda. But luckily we're at the end of the show, and that's the beauty of live. And if you want to book a free consult, you can always book a free consult with me at longevitywithandy.com. I love to work with you and answer any questions you may have about this episode or any of my other past 12 episodes. I'll see you all next week.